In July of last year, we spoke with Stephanie Snowden. She had just relocated to Scotland from Vancouver in May last year, and we discussed a little about her experience. Now, if you haven't seen that episode, you should check it out because today in the Canadian Expat, we're going back to Scotland to check in with Stephanie. Stephanie, welcome back to the Canadian Expat.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's been almost exactly 1 year since your initial move to Glasgow. And I guess that would now classify you as being a non-tourist, really. You've been there for quite a while. Really curious about what you would really enjoy about the city now.
Yeah, Glasgow's a really awesome city, and I think it doesn't have the reputation that Edinburgh has. I think a lot of tourists end up going over there. Glasgow's a really great city to live. I would say the best part about the city, it's almost cliche to say it now, but it's the people. That's actually the slogan of the city, people make Glasgow. Since moving here, it's really proved itself to be true. The people here are absolutely lovely. They are warm. They like a good chat. They're a little bit crazy. So that is definitely one of the most attractive parts of Glasgow. Glasgow also, what I've learned, has a really good nightlife. They're really artistic, and the music is like the heart of Glasgow. You're just a stone throws away from all these different pubs that have live music almost every single night of the week, which I think is quite special. I know Vancouver, it's not like that. So it was really nice thing to kind of discover as I've been living here. And yeah, it's just like quite a lively city to live in. And of course, they've got good whiskey here as well.
Of course. I hear that you've picked up a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, and my mom has mentioned that a little bit. I think it's just because I've been working with like Scottish people, so just slang and like maybe a couple words here and there are a bit Scottish. Yeah,
It makes sense. Are you still working at the same company that you were?
no, so that's something that's changed from last year. So I initially was working at the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, which is a mouthful to say. But with the help of my recruitment agency, I moved positions. It was only a short contract to begin with, so I needed to find something else anyways. I'm currently working at the University of Glasgow, which is just up the road from where I live right now. It's only about 30-minute walk from where I am in the West End. And that's been great. So I've been there since the end of October now.
It sounds fantastic. You've really landed on your feet. I'm curious about what you might see when you look out your front window. This is a question that I get a lot of people saying that they love to hear that answer. Right? They love to hear what sort of experiences and what people are actually seeing. So when you look out your window, what do you see?
Well, I live in one of the really nice areas of Glasgow. So I live in Glasgow's West End. It is a bit pricier to live here, but you pay for it. You get beautiful views. I actually live on the top floor of this beautiful old tenement building. It's very classic Glasgow in that they are all red, like red sandstone tenement buildings. So I can see the next tenement building right across from me. I've also got a football patch just across the road as well, and which is kind of odd for Glasgow. There is actually a little bit of sun today, so I have sun outside my window as well.
That's awesome. You know, for those that are considering a move to Scotland, and in particular to Glasgow, now that you've had a year to reflect on your initial move, what do you think you might have done differently to prepare for your new expat life?
think the only things that I would do differently would be the things that happened to me when I first moved here. So that first month, which was May of last year. Other than that, I wouldn't have changed anything else about my experience. But just that first month when you're trying to get settled, there's quite a few things I probably would have done differently. Um, I think one of the first things, and it's almost cliche to say this, but I would have probably saved up more money. I did do a lot of research beforehand on, what are rent prices like, what are food prices like, transit. So I did try to do my best to kind of do that planning before I left, but it's always good to have extra money because random events might happen, and oftentimes they do just come out of nowhere and they suck all your money away. So I think the first thing I would have done, save more money. Another thing I probably would have done a bit sooner was find a recruitment agency. Um, when you move to new countries, it can be sometimes hard to find a new job and just to get yourself going. And so I probably would have gone with my recruitment agent sooner. And I probably also would have booked my stay at a hostel a little bit longer. So when I moved here, I only booked a hostel for 1 week. That was not enough by a long shot. So if anyone else is considering moving, I would at least minimum 3 weeks somewhere, just so you have enough time to look for a flat, apply for a flat, get yourself sorted with bank cards and phone plans and all that, because it does take a lot of time. Um, Another thing I probably would have done is I probably would have brought more sweaters. I didn't realize exactly how rainy it is over here in Glasgow and how cold it can be. So that was something I definitely regretted. And then the last thing that I would have done differently was taking a photo of my passport and my BPR card. That's your biometric resident card. And I'm a pretty careful person, but I did end up losing my BPR card. But the one thing that did save me was that my flatmate had also lost her BPR card before me. So she told me to take a photo of it because it has information on it that is useful to reapply for your BPR card. Um, so that would just sort of be me looking back at my year and what I've learned.
That's good advice for anybody, I think. Yeah, I think I've heard that before, that taking a photocopy or a photograph of your passport is a wise thing to do. Just it may speed things up a little bit if you have to renew your passport or you have to go to a Canadian embassy for some sort of identification. What about on the flip side? Is there anything that you did when you're preparing that you're really glad that you did do?
Yeah. So I think one thing that I did really well was I did research the area a little bit. So I kind of knew when I landed here what areas of Glasgow I would look for a flat in. It's hard, when you move to a new city, you don't really know where you're going to end up landing. But if you can do as much research ahead of time, then it just speeds up the process for when you land here. So I already knew that the West End would be kind of where I'd end up going. So that really helped that out. And I also joined Facebook groups. And I never used Facebook when I was in Vancouver. I thought it was like an old person's thing. But I really come to appreciate Facebook living here because there's so many support groups out there. There's groups like Canadians in Scotland, and I've met a lot of my friends actually here through that Facebook group. Also, it's really good to ask advice and questions too because they've already done it. They've already made the move here. They already know the answers to your questions. And Facebook is actually really good for knowing just what's happening locally in nightlife and all that. So that was, I think, something that was good because I already knew people before I landed because I joined that Facebook group. And one other thing that I thought that I did well was I prepared so I updated my resume before I moved here. I think just having that ready to go, if you are going to end up using a recruitment agent to help you find your first job, it is just nice to have it ready to go to bring forward. Yeah.
Fantastic. Stephanie, thank you so much for visiting us again. And we look forward to hopefully receiving an even bigger update in the future.
Thanks. Yeah, look forward to it.
Thanks so much. And if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Until next time.